So let's talk about fixed rigs. So today I've got 3 rigs set up. I've got one rig at 10 inches that allows me to fish from 10 inches to shallower. I've got one rig set up at 12 inches and one rig set up at 18 inches. And this is the beauty about these top kits. They're all marked up so I know exactly the depth that I'm fishing in case I have a problem with a specific rig. If I get a tangle and I have to duplicate a rig, and hopefully I don't get a tangle, I know exactly the depth that I'm fishing. And this is really important when you're fishing a fixed rig, shallow fishing, that you'll find a specific depth to the inch, often to the inch, especially with F1s and small match carp, where the fish want to feed, at what depth the fish want to feed. So I've picked up the 12-inch rig, the medium rig. And it's really important to have different depth rigs to figure out at what depth those fish are feeding at. Because of course with a fixed rig, once that rig's settled, your hook bait's not going to carry on descending down, it's going to stay at that specific depth. So you have to mess around with your rig by inches, by literally small amounts. Attention to detail with your adjustments of your depth can make a huge difference on the catch rate, but more importantly actually the size of the fish that you're going to catch. And like I said earlier, the beauty about a fixed rig and having the choice of different fixed rigs means you've still got the same length of line between the pole tip and the float to create that bolt rig effect, that hooking principle that you want to try and achieve. Because half the time I'm not watching the float, I'm waiting for the elastic to pull out where the fish has actually hooked itself on the tension of the line. So I've made some noise, there we go, and that fish has just literally hooked itself against me holding up against that float. Feed some bait, not a big fish, but they're all fish, they all add up. And if I feel that this isn't the right depth and that there might be some bigger fish coming into the swim at a shallower depth or a deeper depth, this is why it's good to have the option of different rigs to swap and change accordingly. Not a big F1, but well worth catching and real weight builders these are. I'd say that's just under a pound. So you've got to make every fish count. Always put fresh bait on your hook as well. Bait might look alright. Sometimes I like to keep my bait on if I can, if I'm catching a lot of fish, but I'm trying to target the bigger fish in my peg, so I want everything to be as neat as possible. Fresh bait, fresh maggots on the hook, there's nothing better. So put my pole together, ship it out across my knee. Let's feed some bait, let's group those fish together again. So a couple of pouchfuls of maggots. And let's go back over the top. So you can imagine those fish are homing in on that bait. You can see him swirling there now. I'm not even going to slap the rig now. Let's see what happens. There we go, straight away. Now I can tell that the fish are coming into this peg a little bit shallower than the depth I'm fishing at. So I've got two options. I either shallow this rig up, which I don't really want to do because then that is going to increase the chance of me missing bites. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it one more time, see if I can catch a fish, but you can see now the fish are really competing near that surface. So this is where I'm going to pick up this shallow rig. I'm going to pick up the 10-inch rig because the fish, the better fish, are swirling for the bait, literally inches underneath the surface. So I'm just going to land this little pecker and we're going to swap to the shallower rig. So unhook this little beauty. Hello mate, go see your buddies in there. So let's have a go with the 10-inch rig now, because I'm almost positive that the fish are coming into that peg, coming into my bait really shallow. Like I said earlier, maggots are a very slow sinking bait, so they're coming right near the surface now trying to intercept that bait. Now a lot of people might think the original rig 12 inches deep, that's really shallow, but actually F1s feed inches under the surface, 3, 4, 5 inches underneath the surface. And this is why you've got to have the right rig. Look at that, straight away I've gone shallower and I'm into a better fish. So these cleverer fish are coming into the surface, intercepting the bait and then moving out of the swim. And if I didn't have this rig set up, I wouldn't have realised this. And they're not a lot bigger, but definitely a lot bigger stamp than what I've been catching than the 12-inch rig. So always have this option in your armoury, a different array of rigs to adjust the depth that you're fishing, because it makes a massive difference, not only on the fish that you catch, but the size of the fish that you catch. So let's just go back out to where the ducks are. Slap the rig. I'm not fed because I want to see if they come to that noise straight away. There we go, another cracking F1, and definitely this is being the better rig of the day. So it just goes to show how important it is to have a choice of rigs, a choice of depths to choose from, which will massively increase your catch rate and also the size of the fish that you're going to catch. Look at this, they're not massive F1s, but they're real weight builders, and this shallower rig has definitely made a difference on the stamp of the fish that I'm catching. Look at that, absolutely stunning Lindome F1. So I hope that information, look at that, beautiful. I hope that information's been of use to you, that you can put to use on your local commercial fishery, regardless of the species that you're targeting, whether it's F1s, carp, eyed, roach, bream. Shallow fishing is just such an effective way during the summertime for every species on commercial. So hopefully that information's been of use to you. You can put it to use on your local commercial fishery, catch loads more fish and have a great day's fishing. Until next time, tight lines.